Hey everybody, it's Nicole here for Hero Arts with the August 2018 My Monthly Hero card kit and add-ons. I've created a trio of bright and colorful coffee themed cards to share with you today using mostly the main kit you get as a subscriber, or if you pick it up here just on its own. There's several different subscription options as well, so please be sure to check out the Hero Arts subscription page to see which plan works best for you. We are going to start with the card that features the coffee cups along the top edge. Everything here on this card, with the exception of the bottom pattern, is from the main kit stamp set, the 6x8 stamp set that comes in the August kit. And I'm going to take 5 of the coffee cup or mug images, as well as the lid to the to-go cup, and stamp these on Bristol Smooth cardstock. I'm using Bristol Smooth cardstock because I'm going to be coloring in my mugs with Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers, and this is the paper I prefer when coloring with these watercolor or water-based markers. And then I'll be using a water brush pen to help blend out some of my color as well. I stamped these with VersaFine ONYX black ink. This is a fantastic ink for water coloring of any kind, but it will not work with your Copic markers or other alcohol ink-based markers. It will bleed. So it's great for watercolor, and that's why I love it. Now, I die cut my cup and mug images before coloring them, which is something I don't normally do, but in this case I wanted to make sure that the cups I had stamped were going to fit across my page the way I kind of envisioned. I hadn't really laid the stamps out prior and was kind of just guesstimating on the fit. That is going to work. I'm not going to need anything extra. So from this point I am just going to work on my background so that it can dry a little bit, and then we will come back and color in all these cups. I have got an A2 sized background here from some white cardstock. This is 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. I've placed it in my MISTI, and then I am using the add-on bold print stamp called Distressed Tile. And it's exactly as the name says. It's this awesome distressed tile. I am using Hickory Smoke Distress Oxide ink, and I did ink up the stamp more than once to stamp my background. You will notice that on 2 of the cards that I'm sharing today, I have used this background. And what I actually did was cut this in half to stretch my background stamp. I didn't really want it to be the entire background, and so instead of only creating 1 card, trimming that down and creating 1 card, I'm going to get 2 that are very similar in design, and I'm just going to mix up a couple things to show you some different options. I am going to start coloring in my images. You can see that I lay down my dark color first, the lighter color to blend that out, and then grab my water brush pen from there and just watercolor and blend to get that nice lighter little highlighted area on the mug. I am going to leave coloring in the coffee till last. I will be adding some whipped cream to one of the cups, things like that, and so I just save that to the very end, and I will go in with some brown markers and color in the coffee. My next color combination here is bright yellow and yellow. The first color combination was peach pink and sugared almond pink. I have not listed the colors on the screen here today because I did link every marker color I used below in the supplies. So if you at any time want to know, which markers exactly I used, just scroll down underneath the video here on YouTube or click over to my blog, and all of those will be listed and linked for easy reference. This is turquoise green and green shadow. The lid is going to be gray and pale gray. And I decided it needed to be just a little bit darker. On some of the images, especially anything that was a little bit smaller, I did not use my water brush pen. I didn't want the color to bleed outside the line. This is cobalt blue and light blue. Now I will tell you that I had to restamp and color this particular cup. That's because I didn't like the color of the stripe that I tried to do on this cup the first time. So I tried to fix it. I tried to color over it and I just didn't get a great result. So instead we're going to go ahead and stamp another one and color that in with a green stripe. I tried red. I decided I really didn't like that. We're going to save the red just for the little heart that we're going to use to decorate a coffee cup instead. And then my last color combination is blue and English lavender. I love this color combination instead of a more traditional purple. This is often what I'll use. I love these two colors together. So I tried to color over that and I did not like that at all. So we just color in another one and add a green stripe along that top edge. Much better. Now I've cut my distressed tile background in half. We need the foam for one of the coffee cups. I'm going to use beige and flesh color and then my water brush pen to blend this out. So there's just a hint of color to this. It's not pure white. And I love that little touch of color for the top of this. You could add it to several of the cups if you wanted to. I'm only going to do one here today. Now I decided to add something extra to all of the coffee cups or mugs and text on 4 of them. So greetings from that main kit stamp set, stamped with Versamark ink and heat embossed with Hero Arts fine detail white embossing powder. And on the 5th cup, so that's going to be on 4 of the cups. On the 5th cup, we're going to stamp the little heart image and color that in with carmine red right over the yellow cup. And I purposely picked the cup that was the lightest and easiest to color over. Pink also would have been really easy to color over if you wanted to do that. But that way I didn't have to worry about coloring around it. If you had stamped the heart, if I had stamped the heart before I colored in the cup, I could have just colored around it too if you wanted to. I didn't really think of it until I got to this point and I thought this is a lot of text and I really like that because I think it's kind of cute and it almost gives the coffee mugs the look of, you know, personalized mugs or whatever. But I really wanted to add in another image instead of more text. And then I'm just going to heat set each of these embossed mugs. Make sure your heat tool is good and hot before you take it to the image. It will melt the embossing powder much quicker and help reduce warping on any of these images. There's that cute little heart. You can see how easy it is to color right over. I'm using deep brown and beige for the coffee in each of the cups. Adding all of that here as I'm working. Take a break is the greeting I'm going to put on the turquoise to-go cup. A hug and a mug is the first greeting on the pink cup. Then take a break is going to be on this turquoise cup. We'll also use a cup of joy and Java Junkie. There are tons of cute greetings in this stamp set too. So lots of great ways to personalize all of these cups and mugs if you choose to do so, or just use these as greetings on your card. Got 2 more cups to finish really quickly. And I'm using the fine detail white embossing powder. There is another embossing powder that actually comes with the kit, and it's the puffy white embossing powder. And we will be using that on the final card share today because it looks really great as the foam on top of the coffee with the other image in this main kit set. So I'll be sharing that here in just a little bit as an alternative to embossing powder, and I love the texture it adds. So many amazing products just in the main kit alone. So much fun. I just love all of these fun little images. Coffee and tea drinkers will love all of this. Better color in the coffee in this cup as well, and then we can start putting it all together. Let's start with our border and attach that along the bottom edge of the card. And then let's attach, on this card I did the mugs in rainbow order, so kind of pink and then yellow, green, turquoise, blue, and purple. And I'm tipping them at angles to fill in that top portion of the card. And there's the foam or the Cool Whip or whatever for the top. Trim off anything hanging off of the sides of the card. Let's take our long greeting from the main kit stamp set. Stamp this on some black cardstock with VersaMark ink and heat emboss with white embossing powder. This is going to provide a nice little strip that's a nice separation between the top of the card that's very busy and bright with all of those great coffee cups and mugs, and then the bottom of the card, which is a nice neutral but still a pattern with that distressed tile. I always like a little separation when I do a card border this way. Again, I made sure my heat tool was nice and hot before taking it to the paper, hitting both sides to help kind of decrease the warping. Wipe away any of that excess powder with my finger that I used, and then add adhesive on the back, and then pop this in place right there along the edge. And there is the first card all finished up. Now the second card is very similar, but we're going to add in the awesome tea stamp and cut, which has got this adorable kitten image sitting inside of a teacup. And then we're going to use some of those same mugs that we already used from the main kit stamp set to go with it. So it's a very similar design. We're going to be using the second half of our distressed tile background. We'll have a black strip of cardstock, this time a little bit thinner because I'm not actually going to stamp on this one. It's just going to serve as a nice definition between the top of the card and the bottom. And then we are going to decorate all of the mugs with text or images. I'm again going to make a little heart on the yellow mug, or the mug that I color yellow. We're going to add a sentiment though from that tea stamp and cut stamp set that reads, "Have a tea-rific birthday." And then the other two mugs are going to have a hug and a mug and "You're sweet" from the main kit. But these work really well together. I love how they seamlessly blend. This image, scale-wise, works really well with the rest of the images from the main kit. So don't be afraid to mix and match. Really super cute and fun. I'm using brown and light brown for my cat, some pale pink for the insides of the ears. I did pale pink for the nose and decided it wasn't quite enough, so I'm going to color in with a little sugared almond pink, and that looks much better. And I even colored the eyes in with blue, the cobalt blue and light blue, to really make them pop. We're going to die cut all of these images with the tea stamp and cut, and also the main kit stamp set coordinating dies. And then just like the first card, we're going to put everything together very similarly. But the cat in the teacup is going to be the focal point here of the card. And I just need to figure out the placement. Because this cat in a teacup image is bigger than, a little bit bigger. Like I mentioned, it does scale-wise still work great. But since it's a little bit bigger, takes up a little bit more real estate, we want to probably just scale down, and I only used 4 cups instead of the 5 on the original card. But I'm also using up that background image I stamped. Because I loved the design of the first card so much, I found a way to make another one, but change it up a little bit just for that fun, creative, expression, I guess I want to say. The main greeting for this card will be on this larger image, which I stamped "Have a Terrific Birthday." We're going to sprinkle on the white fine detail embossing powder, heat set this, and I had originally put adhesive on the back, which you probably saw me do, and I was going to attach that to the card. I really like to do my stamping and embossing before adding the adhesive so that no stray little flakes of embossing powder get anywhere. In fact, I'm taking a fine tip paintbrush and removing some of those right now before I heat set it, so I don't have any little white flakes over the design. Once we have that, we can go ahead and add our heat tool, heat set this, and then pop it in place on the card. And I really love this white embossing against the colorful coffee cups and mugs. So let's go ahead and put this one in place since it's the focal point, and then we will position the rest of the mugs all around this one. And I probably could have shifted it over even a little bit more as it turns out, but this adhesive is pretty sticky, so I decided not to pick that up and move it. Color in the red heart on the yellow mug, and then we can secure it. We'll stamp greetings on the other two mugs just like we did before. I used the hug in a mug twice because I thought that worked really well. And then the "You're Sweet" I thought was kind of fun. And went with the birthday theme. I tried to consciously pick sentiments that would work with the birthday theme. I didn't want to put a "thank you" or something that said "coffee" because this is a tea-themed card instead with the "terrific birthday" sentiment. So I'm just going to look through here and pick out sentiments that are going to work better with my main sentiment, if that makes sense. And then I've also got that little thought bubble that I added almost as an afterthought, but I really thought it kind of helped fill in the top of this card a little bit from that tea Stampin' Cut set. It's a little thought bubble with a heart, and we are going to add that to our card. It's also going to be a great place to add in the cobalt colors of Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers, since I didn't really use those for my coffee cups on this card. Used it for the eyes, but not the mug itself, or one of the mugs. So Versamark, I like to use the powder tool on each of the coffee cups. That's going to help keep the embossing powder from migrating to other areas on the design. And then heating all of these with my heat tool. And trying not to burn my fingers. We're going to adhere these all to the card and then grab that little thought bubble and color that in as well. There's some other cute images in that Stampin' Cut, some little floral images, some little leaves, which work really well with the tea. I think those would be fun little accessories, maybe even tucked around the base of the mugs along this border if you wanted to do something like that. I also forgot to mention when I was talking about stamping the distressed tile background, I purposely picked a neutral for the bottom half of my card because the top of the card is so bold and bright with color. It helps balance out the design. With a more colorful color on the bottom, it's really hard. Your eye has a hard time finding where it needs to go first. And you definitely want to focus on the line of colorful coffee cups and mugs. And then you kind of, that helps with the overall feel. So while it still adds some fantastic texture, it doesn't detract away from the focal point of the card. And just trim off anything overhanging the sides, like the tip of the cat's ear, mug handles, little things like that. We'll take our thought bubble now, stamp that with VersaFine ONYX black ink, color it in with Carmine red, light blue, and cobalt blue, and attach it to the card. And for this card, I'm going to finish with glossy accents on the eyes and the nose of the cat and let that dry completely. Now my final card is very much a one-layer card, no die cutting at all. We're going to do a repeating image, create an entire background, and the real star of the show for this card is going to be the foam in all of these cups. So we're going to switch it up with the 3 foam images from the main kit stamp set and use that puffy embossing powder to really make it shine. So we want to start with the coffee cup. We're repeating this all over the background. I'm going to just turn it this way and that. And also make sure that if you want to stamp a sentiment in the background, you do that, you know, pretty early on, so you make sure and leave enough room for it, and then fill in all of the edges, all of the little areas, all the way around the design. And then we're going to start coloring it all in. And just like the other cards, this is going to be colored with Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. I'm going to use some water brush pen on some of the areas. Where it's a little bit bigger, where it's maybe a little smaller, I'm not going to do that. Some of the open white space on this card, I filled in with a little mini heart from the main kit stamp set. I really love the shape of this heart, and it's a great little image to fill in those small areas. Same color combinations that I've used all along in this video. This is peach pink and sugared almond pink. And this is a good example of coloring in the saucer with the pink colors. We're going to color in the coffee with our browns, deep brown and beige. And then I'm going to let that dry a little bit before I color in the coffee cup. So let's go to light green and yellow green. Again, blending out with the water brush pen, cleaning the tip off on a scrap piece of paper so we don't cross-contaminate. Using our browns for the coffee. Some turquoise green and green shadow. And I'm very messy coloring. Let's go back to this, the coffee cup with blue and English lavender. And I like to turn my paper. It helps keep my hand out of any ink that might be wet so that I don't smear it across the design. While I have blue and English lavender out, we'll do another saucer here. And I'm just going to continue filling in all the same color combinations as before. But you can see that background, it's colorful and bright, starting to take shape. And I just tried to move the color around so that no two colors were side by side. Same goes for the coffee cups. If I used pink and blue for one of the sets, I tried not to use that again. I'd use pink and turquoise. If I used yellow and green for one of the sets, I would do green and blue for the next one. Just wanted it to really be mixed up quite a bit. The hearts I'm going to color in all with Carmine red. If I had to do this again, I think I probably would wait and color in the hearts after my background is watercolored and completely dry. You'll see what I mean, because anytime the tip of my water brush pen would slightly touch that red, it would bleed a little bit. And I did already color in my background. I'm so sorry. I think I maybe forgot to film that part of it. But that was simply just adding gray to an acrylic block, picking it up with a water brush pen and doing a quick wash all over the background instead of keeping it white. I think it really helps showcase the colorful coffee cups a little bit better. I've really loved a gray background lately. This almost has that purple tint to it because it's more of a cool dark gray, but really awesome. Now this is that puffy embossing powder included in the main kit. We're stamping the foam images in the center of each coffee cup and then heat embossing it. You can kind of see it's not quite as smooth or fine detail as the fine detail white embossing powder I used earlier for any of the sentiments, and it really adds some beautiful texture in real life and really fun to look at. Decorates the center of all of these coffee cups perfectly. We'll finish stamping just these few additional foam images. And then we're going to pop this panel on a top fold card base to finish off the design. Very, very one layer, super easy to mail. This won't be bulky at all. In fact, none of these cards are very bulky, but I always love the challenge of trying to create a one layer card because I think they're really fun and still get that illusion of lots of dimension. Here's that top fold card base. We're just going to pop that card right down there, and that will finish off the third card featuring the Hero Arts My Monthly Hero August 2018 card kit. The supplies I used to create my cards are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more cards featuring Hero Arts My Monthly Hero kits that you might be interested in. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.